Boy, do I have a treat for you guys today. You're getting ready to see an interview that we did in Orlando, Florida with one of the very best Jiu-Jitsu coral belts, which there's only a handful of those in the world, practitioners, Ricardo Liborio. Check it out. Man, this is a nice place. Indoor soccer facility.
Wow.
Wow, really nice. Look at that. Is that not amazing? Wow. Unbelievable.
Eddie! Oh, man! Oh, how are you, Joe? How are you? How are you? You got a blue tongue. Look at this. Right? You got it. How's it going? Nice to meet you, Laura. Nice to meet you. Good to see you. Thank you. Look at you.
Aside from your
Look at bodybuilder. Yeah, right. Yeah. Remember this guy?
I do. He's got he got
And you know Morgan? Get some Morgan, guys. She shake hands, she look in the eye. Talk to Coach Eddie. Look at it. Pleased to meet you. What do you do? Shake your hands, everybody, right? Hi, sweetheart. Right there.
Hi.
You look in the eye. Look at her.
I love
You're
that.
this guy too.
Beautiful.
Xavier. You know Chief Ryan? Shake hands and look in the eye.
you, sir. Actually, I was telling them the story that one of my fondest moments with you was whenever we were in your office and to actually be able to see the AUCC trophies and then see, Tyrone Woodley's belt over, and then for you to tell me, yeah, Marcelo Garcia was sitting there about 2 days ago, and I said, because I based my jiu-jitsu after Marcelo, and that was just, he was my biggest inspiration. Watching him, I said, that's the way I want it to be.
And Eddie, he's such a great individual.
Oh, he is. I met him.
He's even better. He's a great martial arts, but
He's a great human being.
He's amazing. He's
Always
not,
a smile
all
on
what
his
he is who he is.
Yes.
What you see there on TV, that's Marcelo.
Just see what you see is what you're doing.
Yeah, for him,
great,
yeah, 100%.
We went to go train at his facility, and the same person that I seen in all those videos was the same person that Brian and I met got to spend some time.
So he's in Hawaii now.
After classes.
Yeah. Proud.
Baby or not? Baby or not?
We were kind of rogue. Yeah.
So you? Yes.
Yes.
It is.
Technically, think about it. To me, blacks are white.
Yes.
So we thought it was fighting. We did. But we actually got just excommunicated from because he's that one thing. That's how we the black
So honest. He's overall. He's so honest. Let's go help with you.
That's why where's your shoe? Got away from any kind of organization.
You gotta help me
When you
sense it. The mix is well sensitive. You think you can do that?
But get so tied into the rituals and the liturgy and stuff. I happen to be sitting with somebody pretty cool.
You're talking about Eddie.
Yeah, that's what you're. Hey, actually, there's three cool people here.
I'm just sitting in the chair.
No, that was my line. I was gonna say, hey, I'm just with them, But we have Professor Ricardo Liborio, and of course, his legend precedes him.
Don't for a second.
Yeah, come on.
You gotta come in.
Come on through, man. We're good.
Come out of the closet.
He's
Come
gonna
out of the closet.
anyway.
He's your chest.
Yeah, he's gonna edit
He's
it
your
in
chest
anyway.
right now.
Come out of the closet. Hey, this is Murphy right here. the guy that he should be sitting down here too. He also
It's an honor.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And he's a beefy dude too, man. He works out. Okay, so Professor Liborio is, of course, world renowned. If you guys haven't heard of him, then you need to click off this video right now and go look at some other videos to get all the stuff, and then come back and you can appreciate what we're doing. So and of course you're never going to talk about this yourself, but you are considered one of probably in the top 10 best influential jiu-jitsuists in the world. What do you say to that?
Joe, I don't know about that. I can say one thing, that's for sure. I have a renewable passion for this. I'm one of those guys that I'm so lucky into it. Before, people don't know this, but I went to school for business in Brazil. After that I went to
stuff I heard.
I work in a bank for I don't even know how many years in a bank there. So when I got out of the bank, I kind of knew it that I did not want to do that. And jiu-jitsu came in. Jiu-jitsu came very easy to me. It was something that I was, very good at, and the fact that I was very good, I was very happy where I was. All my friends was there. I was raised inside this place that was, those guys knows about it. It was a Carlson Gracie old school with all the Carlson Gracie team, with all the best guys in the world. At the time in the era, Carlson was absolutely the best team. He was the best team from gi, no gi, vale tudos, MMA. He was the best of the best about it. He was one of the first ones to transition for jiu-jitsu to really high level fighting. And I was part of all this, when I was younger. I was 16 years old, teenager.
You just answered the question I had.
Yeah, 16 years old when it was started. But I was always in love with this. So it was easier. Like for me here right now, it's easier to see because it's not difficult for me to be here and enjoying this with the kids.
But the transition, because you've also, golly, the world class fighters that you have trained that owe everything that they have to you, going from that, that level.
I don't even know about that, Joe.
Level.
Joe, what I know is this. I myself went to high performance, and after that I started training people for fighting itself. But I knew it in a certain way what it would take to go into a certain level. Things change it a lot. There is an evolution on it.
Sure.
But I knew it from training myself. They need at least some hardcore trainers in it. You need a conditioning training. You need a technical training. You need a sparring training that is more to a schedule, that you don't do anything stupid, that you don't hurt yourself. But you gotta acquire skills. You gotta train and drill the skills, and you put it there for real in the sparring. For all this, we knew it. There was a formula to be good, and an amount of time I knew what it was because I lived that. I competed a lot, and I did that. But my passion, I think, helped me a lot for the fact that I was feeling good being there, around the people. Nowadays, I live in a complete different set, in a different world.
That's what I was wondering, how it went from going to what you did to now. You got a room class full of just amazing, cute kids, and the way that you teach
Joe,
them, man,
it is so
awesome.
amazing that the character education that you can implement in martial arts is unique. There's very few sports can do this. You just sit them down to something that is so. It's talking about violence, right? You're talking about defend yourself from violence, mentally and physically. But there is a cue of a natural instinct of survival into it, and people know this. They probably never going to use it. We probably never use this. My kids here, 1% of chance that this kids actually use this to defend themselves. But this is in daily basis. It put you fear into it. Training is winning and losing 50% of the time. Big chance to win or lose, and you gotta have to deal with this. You gotta have to deal with losses. So there's so much character education into this, and the way we schedule things right now, the way we structure the class. There's a lot of delivering on how to speak with them to make it understand. I was talking to the previous class, right? It was exactly about this, because they train a little bit takedowns. Today is a takedown day. And they were training a little bit of, hey, you're in this class, you better be mature enough to understand that you're going to lose some and you're going to win some. And you better
And that's
have the
part of
desire to
life, right?
win. That's part of
No,
life.
yeah,
You know,
it's
guys,
great.
we all know.
Yeah.
In a mature level, we know that we're going to lose our grandparents. We're going to lose our parents, and all this is part of life. You got to understand the cycle, and as hurtful it is, if you don't understand this, it's like a kid who doesn't like to lose and is a terrible sore loser. Hey, wake up, because you will lose. You will lose. There will be people that were not going to like you, and if you were a leader, you're going to have to say no. And if you were a leader, a lot of what people think of you can be harder and is stronger than what you think about yourself. All those things, but how you deliver this in class, that's the goal. And I see the difference with the kids, man. It's just amazing to see them flourish with that.
I saw it in 5 minutes. You were teaching a kid, and to me, this is the beginning, the end, the middle, everything about all of our martial arts. It should all be reflected in a bow.
Yep.
The bow. And I can tell somebody's level of experience by how they bow. In fact, I predicted all kinds of fights one time. I didn't know anything about the fighters, and I just watched them bow. And I always picked the person that
Knew it a little
bowed. You could tell that they felt that was part of their art, that they were bowing. And 98% of the time, they won each match. You know, because that's, you know, you're.
But Joe, but you know, some of the kids,
It's-
their parents got so. Because some of the kids here is the first time that the parents are seeing the kids bowing and showing respect. You know, showing honest and true life respect to something.
Yes.
You know, they bow to master respect. The founding fathers, they bow the instructors, they bow to the teammates, but they bow to the place. They bow to a sign of respect. There's nothing to do with religion.
No,
Nothing to
no.
do. It's like a salute in the military.
Right.
It's just like when somebody bowing and the musician bowed down. It is just tradition, but it's a tradition that symbolizes respect. So for some of these kids, Eddie, is the first time that they're really, especially the younger kids, and
You see it.
and you see it, and you tell me, do you understand what I'm saying? May I hear yes, sir, no, sir, and they're bowing and say yes, sir. For the parents, this is the first time that they hear something like this. Because being a parent doesn't come with a manual, guys. You all know this. You know, and we learn this because we're more into the pedagogy of things, of teaching the things. And when we do this, you see these kids progressing, you know, progressing and being more respectful, progressing and being more acceptable to, you know, what society, community does to it. And being courageous to being themselves. And I see miracles here. Miracles. And this is so much more to me, honestly, than I was Joe. I trained some of the best in the world. I've been around some of the best in the world. I trained with and I trained some of the best in the world. I can say that. Man, nothing is so deeper than
Wow,
this.
man.
I'll tell you,
I
nothing.
feel that. I didn't
Nothing,
feel that.
Joe, nothing. There's a life changing for so many kids.
You know, I'm thinking, how does he have the energy? Because I was watching you know, and it's like everything you're doing, you're
Because
full of
I
this
love
vivacious
it,
energy.
Joe. I love it.
Yeah.
I honestly, I have more energy to come to those classes for the kids, sometimes with the adults. I have more energy. I do have more energy.
You get their life energy, kind of.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
they get yours, and it's the positive. You know, and talking to tons of people that when anybody I talk to about jiu-jitsu, and we were talking about this earlier. Pretty much the first word that comes out of somebody's mouth is humble, and that wasn't always a word that I related to jiu-jitsu practitioners. But I understand, you know, because really to me, jiu-jitsu slapped me in the face the first octagon. I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
What is happening here, you know, and realize, okay, man, this is real. What they're doing, this is real. And
But
you
it
know,
can't look. This is a very good point, Joe. Look at this. Jiu-Jitsu is so attached to the MMAs and the Vale Tudos because of the creation, Jorge and Gracie. Let me just go even beyond. There may be
Please.
something that you don't know about this. Right.
Yeah.
This is important. In 1991, there was a clash in between Luta Livre and Jiu-Jitsu in Brazil, in Rio. It was the two. Luta Livre as a sport was growing too much, and Jiu-Jitsu is getting was a different demographics because the Luta Livre was practiced a lot in the favelas, and Jiu-Jitsu is a more upscale, you know, aristocrat of art than the Jiu-Jitsu guys. Guys who have money so do Jiu-Jitsu, and the poor kids were doing no-gi, which is more the Luta Livre. Now, Luta Livre started growing a lot in Jiu-Jitsu guys. There was a beef that they decided to do an event. That was the first Vale Tudo in 1991.
Did not know that.
Whereas the Jiu-Jitsu guys beat all the Luta Livre guys. And the Luta Livre guys are huge. You know, it's a much bigger size. When this has happened in 1991, this was aired on a prime TV in Brazil. And it was a shock to everybody. Everybody talking about human cockfighting. It was terrible. But every kid in the nation wanted to do jiu-jitsu after that. In 1991. 1991 inspired the 1993 UFCs.
Okay.
And the UFCs was inspired by the 1991. The results was tremendous. Because it was TV air. It was amazing, guys. The impact of that. Carlson Gracie was a trainer. It was the first time that Jiu-Jitsu got all together, trained under Carlson Gracie. All the factions, you know, all the teams got together for Carlson to train, and everybody won. 1991 inspired 1993. 1993, in 1991 to 1993, the guys were doing the Vale Tudo. We were already training Vale Tudo. Carlson Gracie's team was already a team, guys, fighting Vale Tudo in Japan. The guys were already fighting in Japan. There was other events before UFC, or at least at the same time at UFCs.
Well, Eddie and I were talking about this earlier because I thought that the jiu-jitsu came, you know, far back from Japan, and
it is.
But it seems like that it stuck for the people in Brazil and the Gracie family and the fact that they perfected it to another level. And then they go, like you say, fight Vale Tudo in Japan, and they're killing it, you know. And
you understand it, the Vale Tudo, before there was Vale Tudo, the Vale Tudo transitioned to the No-Holds Bar, and the No-Holds Bar transitioned to MMA, what it is today. The rules started being implemented.
Yeah.
But before it was a Vale Tudo, there was no rules.
It was brutal.
Before that, in Brazil, was a shock of styles. Let's put a jiu-jitsu against the luta livre, jiu-jitsu against the capoeira, jiu-jitsu against the karate and boxing and everything else. We already existed this there.
It was like the movie Bloodsport.
It was something like this.
Yeah.
But even before that, there was not an event. So what other guys were doing is the jiu-jitsu guys scheduled with someone, with the luta livre guys or the capoeira guys, and they go to one school and those guys fight.
They just do it.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that's pretty common there at a time in Brazil.
That's the
and
real
it
deal.
was very common here into 1990s when really jiu-jitsu started being popular after UFCs here in America. A lot of people started coming and testing.
Mm-hmm.
And the guys, you have to be ready because you're going to be doing a Vale Tudo anytime because a judo guy comes in, a karate guy comes in, and kung fu, and they want to test. You know, I believe in my, in my skills and my fighting. And the jiu-jitsu guy has to represent. This has happened a lot.
Oh, I know it
happened
has,
a lot
because I've seen videos
Yeah.
on YouTube.
Yeah.
I mean, throughout the years, Gracie never turns down.
But Joe, this is before.
challenge.
This was before the sport popularized as it
Okay.
is. Because after that, jiu-jitsu grew in a certain way. Because jiu-jitsu has this big thing, a couple things. Number one is you cannot be good at jiu-jitsu without training. You have to break a sweat. You're going to have the touching, the grabbing, and the winning, the losing it. So you're going to have a workout. And at the same time, because there is less impact, all the judo guys, all the wrestling guys, because you can't do wrestling after you're 35.
You're not having double hip replacements.
Exactly.
And this kind of stuff
You
that
can't.
happens.
You can't. It's just
Yeah.
really hard on the body for you to, after 40 years old, you can't train judo as the same way. You can't. So a lot of people migrate to jiu-jitsu because you have some takedowns. Yes, we do. We have takedowns. Yeah, we train some takedowns. Yes. But it's on the ground. Its impact is way different. So the population is growing, and have this fighting background.
When most of the kids, when you talk to the parents that want to enroll their kids, do you ask them, why does your child want, or why do you want your child to come here? What are some of the answers they give you?
Oh, the vast majority of parents, they don't have much knowledge of what the martial arts is. Number one is. And there's a couple of situations. Now it's even better. People understand it's jiu-jitsu in a certain way, but they don't know exactly what it is. Jiu-jitsu is divided in 4 branches. There is the jiu-jitsu self-defense. You can see it a lot. There's weapons involved, the sticks and the knives and, you know, and things. The self-defense part with Helio is to do it a lot. There is the jiu-jitsu with the gi, the competition that we have it. That is a big champion, Brian. You know, those guys competing on it. That's true. And there is jiu-jitsu no gi, which is the grappling. The no gi has the part is different than the grappling because the rules are different, but it's a no gi. And there is jiu-jitsu for MMA, which is pretty different, but not just because of striking, but
So you have to stand up.
there's a stand-up, there's a striking, and there is the ground and pound. And there is no engagement. You don't need to engage in an MMA. You know, the guy doesn't need to be inside a guard to pass the guard. No, you just move himself out of it, and you got to deal with that. So all those branches are being taught. You got to have elements of all of this.
Well, something you said that I watched of an interview of you, you were saying, and this shocked me. I tell you, I got to say, I learned more in 30 minutes of watching this one interview about that you did with, I can't remember who you did it with, talking about business stuff and how to run a school where you can, because, you know, I've always thought of either you run a martial arts school where you teach it the correct way, it's too hard, most people quit and you go broke, you don't make any money, or you water it down, you give out belts and you get the money coming in, but you're teaching crap, you know, and those two things, but that's not really true.
No.
Okay.
No,
See,
it is not.
Yeah.
You have to have program. One of the things that I had a chance to do it at the American Top Team there was we have programs from 3-year-old kids, and we have after school programs, and we have the beginners intro classes, fundamentals class for little kids, and it goes to evolve up
So
to
you're getting them
up to the UFC world
Wow.
champion.
But you're getting them at a really good age. I mean,
Yeah.
because we developed as people from 3 to 6, tremendous. Oh my God, tremendously. Pretty much probably our whole
This is
outlook on
for the
life.
vast majority, though. This is many of the parents bring here. It is the first encounter with any sport that they have it,
Yeah.
which is amazing. This is the first time you see a 3-4-year-old kid really actually, when we say attention stance, when we say defense stance, when we say yes sir, man, hey, yes sir, and they say yes sir, and you have to shake the hand and look you in the eye and you know, and pay attention and show confidence.
We were smiling when we were watching. If somebody would have taken a picture of the 3 of us, we were just like,
Yeah.
yeah, we were just, man, it was just great
But Joe,
to
I
see
did
it.
not know all this. I'm telling you this right now. This was a process of researching. Because when I got here, my whole idea was training pro fighters. And I did, man. I did this from Carlson Gracie team, from Brazilian top team, was a very successful team. Some of the best teams in the world.
Yes.
From Brazilian top team to American top team, also one of the best teams in the world. And I have dealt with all the pro fighters that you can imagine. And all beginners, intermediate, and advanced high level guys. Many different personalities, many different problems you can even imagine dealing with a high performance. But the structure, I knew it, even from Brazilian top team, I knew it, that the success, the financial success of our teams can be in the pro fighters.
Okay.
The window is very short,
short
and
and
is
small,
for the investment is a very, very, very small percentage that guys are going to make it into that level. So it doesn't recoup the money is for investment, but what you create as a curriculum, what you create for systems. And
For the 97%, because I know you said only 3% are the.
Oh yeah, 3% are competitors in the high level like Eddie, and 97% are doing this.
That shocked me. It really did, because I
It is true.
thought it was higher
It
compared.
is in the statistics that is so real, came from the president of BJJF. 97% trains for recreational purposes. People, and Jiu-Jitsu has one thing, culturally, Joey, you know, I'm a black belt in judo, so I know one of the things I know to judo. Judo has in the culture and the structure is very different. You know, the way they do the classes, the way they present the classes, the way you have to structure is just the Japanese model.
Much more traditional.
It's way more traditional. It's way more, let's say traditional, that's the word, but it's not an easy going, appealing for after work type of thing. You know, you got to be so strict. Sometimes you just go from here, not just the
militaristic,
not just the uniform and the presentation and all the and all the, you know, it's culture. It's culture.
And
If you
I'm
understand
sure,
Japanese culture,
I feel like, I mean, there is a place for that a little bit. I mean, because
There is.
we've been, you know, through Japanese systems but then going
There
to,
is.
you know, something like going to a friend of mine, Ray Dionaldo. I don't know if you've ever heard of him, but he's a world class. He does Kali, Arnis, the Philippine arts, and he's laid back. So when you train with him and you ask him to show you, show you something, he'll never show you anything the same way twice, because he's not really showing you a technique. It's just, I don't know. It's like you learn how to flow with techniques, and it's like footwork. He said, don't worry, the footwork will come. You know, this is what we're doing and stuff. But you can ask questions. That's not, Kyosuke, nothing.
yeah,
where you're taken out of your.
Look, for us, I think we all here, we went to the top of, of the martial arts, black belts, and it's easier for us to understand because we put time and effort, and we overcome everything that come into it, to accept. So we have way above the average understanding of the discipline of the martial arts and the discipline. But there was one thing about Jiu-Jitsu has this thing about being very gamified. Let's put it this way: if you know the rules of Jiu-Jitsu, if you're a white belt, and you know the rules of Jiu-Jitsu, number one, you know what a tapping is. Right? You got uncomfortable in a position and a kind of submission. You explain what submission, you know how to tap. Visually tap or tap. Sometimes your hands are there. You've got to explain to the person like they never heard of this before. So you actually go through it. So you learn how to tap. Now after that, you know the takedown was 2 points. Passing the legs, which is passing the guard. The person on bottom with your legs, you have the guard. You pass in the legs, you pass the guard. This is 3 points. 3 points, 2 points takedown, 3 points for passing the guard, 2 points for knee on belly, 4 points for mount position, 4 points for back, 2 points for sweeps. It's when you reverse the position. Once you know this, if you're a white belt and you know this, and you know from station to station what the score system is, you can play the game, and it's a game. After that, it's a game. It's a game. After that, you try to win. You try to. The submission finishes everything, but you keep trying to win. But at the same time, you're training. You're training martial arts, and sometimes go unperceptive because you're probably never going to use this, right? Unless you're law enforcement or military or you're a bouncer. You're probably going to use that. But if you're not, you're probably not going to use that. Probably never. I know that I've been doing this forever, and I never. Usually, that's it. Percentage. And I'm from Brazil.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't have believed
Yeah.
that.
Well, I have
scrapping every
my
other day.
share of fightings, but
Okay,
usually,
okay.
believe me, it wasn't me starting.
No, but you finished. That's my dad always say. Hey, I don't want you to ever start a fight, but if somebody starts a fight with you, I do want you to finish it.
I really feel like a lot of people walking into a jiu-jitsu school, they're just looking for something fun to do
Something
after
fun
work,
to do.
to stay in shape. I very rarely, and Eddie, I don't know about you, but people walking into the school in Lakeland, do you have someone walk in and say, I'm here, I want to become a world champion?
Correct.
There's like, I just want to learn something.
There are those guys. I used to have this a lot at the American Top Team. We used to have this a lot. Even today, I got people coming looking for, can you teach me? I want to go to UFC. Reality is this: if you don't have a system of how to introduce people to the martial arts, because when you introduce them to this too, a lot of those dreams go away when discipline isn't. You got to learn. They have discipline. Number one, discipline of losing it, and discipline to acquire the skills. So you're going to lose a lot. Just spend some time here. You're going to see it. I have said it a million times. You want to really be a fighter? Go to this first class here. This is the intro class. And they go for the intro class. Everybody go upset because they want to jump into the pro fighting.
They want to just skip all that stuff.
And when they go to the amateurs and they see the amateurs are 10 times better than them, you're like, what? The amateurs, the guys that really not even pros, the amateurs are better than them. Like, I got to understand. Now I understand a little bit. So they have to learn the ABCs to jump into Okay, after you acquire the skills, you have some fights, now you go to a pro fight team. Otherwise, you're just gonna be, fresh, fresh meat.
Yeah, the losing
And obviously,
never
they're
ends.
losing, man. I have seen this a million times. A guy came in and wanted to do it, and all right, come over here. And you put it against a good guy, and a good guy uses a fresh meat, as a stepping stone. And a guy that's really winning nothing, he just learned that he has to learn more skills. But to learn more skills is not maybe in a high performance. High performance is to sharpen the skills. You got to learn more in certain classes. You got to learn certain classes.
A little bit about that the other day. You're either, when you come in like with that attitude, wanting to be good, and you experience that for the first time, it's either going to break you or motivate you.
Oh yeah.
And I think a lot of guys who stick with it, they get motivated by the losses, and it doesn't break them.
And
that's the mental part.
we were talking about a story in my life, with a person that was world class, and he started at probably 2 or 3. As soon as he was like being born, he was probably started, right? But Philippine martial arts, and I went to his house to train with him. I was already a brown belt in Shotokan, and I was already fighting full contact and everything, and that kind of training. And I thought I was a little something, and go over there, and after working with him for a couple hours, I literally cried on the way home, and because he made me feel like I didn't know anything. I was rank beginner, and by the time I got home, my mind had worked through the crying part and being depressed about it, and going to wait a minute. He's a friend. He will teach me. I can. If a person can do it, I can do it.
Joe, that's it.
And so, like you said, it didn't break me. It motivated me to step up. And man, this gentleman helped me so much. Working with me, and so yeah, definitely.
Joe, I'll tell you that the lessons of martial arts. This is amazing, like you said. But it's not everybody who thinks the same, Brian. A kid who is not going through a certain part of education, if the parents never told them, hey, that's part of the process. Losing is part of the process, and you have to suck it up, and you have to keep on moving. It's how you bounce back from things, and from losses, and from anything, from daily losses. You just suck it up. You just keep it on going. You take in, and you just keep doing it. In the end of the story, Joy, in the end, the discipline is more important than anything. You got inspired by something to start something. You got motivation to keep going, but it's the discipline is going to make you go somewhere. That's it, period.
When it gets
period.
hard.
That's where your coach and mentors come in.
Oh yeah.
To keep you from.
This is exactly what it is.
It is.
This is success for anything. Well, you want to be a chef or chief in anything, right? It's just got to show up, man.
We were just yesterday talking with Eddie. We're talking with you about your mindset. When you go into your fights and stuff, and discipline kind of is one word I'd use for what we were talking about.
Well, one of the things, as I was sitting there and watching him do the classes, and you said some things that really stuck, and I was paying attention to you. You're saying to some of these kids, this is the first time they've had an opportunity to interact with that. Well, you don't realize, just you do, but the average person doesn't realize how important it is to have that role model. This here is probably the first time any of these kids have ever had any discipline. Yeah. So it carries over from a jiu-jitsu class to a discipline class that carries on over into their lives. So they come home, and after a while, there may be more, and I know you've probably heard this many times, my child is more respectful, my child is, and it starts with that small bow into that room.
And something I noticed, and this is, to me, just blew me away, is that within a couple seconds, you would explain to them why they're doing the bow. In a lot of hard style systems, traditional systems, they just make you do it. They make you do all kinds of stuff, but they'll never tell you what you're doing or why you're doing it. Whereas you just put it all together in a few words for them.
Believe what I'm saying. I am not the creator of this. No. I just, I did so much research around how present what we think is important. Like discipline. We sit the kids, I don't know if you saw it, we sit the kids, we call the meeting room. I sit down in a little box there, and they sit it down on the floor, and we're talking to them.
Oh, wow.
I don't know if you saw that. So we're talking with the kids right now.
Yeah.
And we talk about discipline. And we make them memorize. You gotta be short so they can understand. Discipline is something that you do it every day. Doesn't matter how you feel. What is discipline? First, you ask them, what do you think is discipline? And a lot of them raise their hand, discipline, and when you do something wrong and somebody discipline you.
Oh, yeah.
This is a different type of discipline, but what we're talking here is like the discipline on every day. You do what you have to do. Discipline is something that you do it every day. It doesn't matter how you feel. Oh, you don't want to go to the school? You do have to go to school. There's discipline to that. Oh, you feel like you don't want to brush your teeth? You have to brush your teeth because of that. And from there, the idea of discipline, and after that, of self-discipline, that no one needs to remind you what you have to do it. This is gold. You see the structure?
Yes.
And I'm saying this, Joe. It's not that this guy. No, I just did the research.
Well,
and I turned the key because
you've got something together that is actually able to be a functioning program, where you're able to build it and stuff, because so many places, well, of course you have the business acumen, so and I know how deep you are in your business knowledge any business, to run a business, and that's, a lot of people don't realize. I mean, they see places, they don't realize what goes into the business of it.
Yeah.
You can be
Not
good.
just being good at a martial artist, but you can be a
Yeah.
great martial artist and not be a good businessman.
Right.
And
You see that there is a why among this, right? For sure. But the parents there in the kids, we have the kids. For the kids has to be instrumental in their education, has to be fun.
Yeah. If it's not fun,
and for sure they have to learn things here that they can use it. Like I said, there's only 3% that is really much better than what they have in here right now. 97% are training like they're training here. Win some, lose some, but not high performance. There's 3% out there that's outstanding, right? But in a time to deliver this to the parents, which are our clients really are the parents.
Right.
The parents sign the checks and pay the bills,
Right.
and we gotta make them understand why we're different.
and that's one of the questions I have for you.
And that's
If-
marketing.
If a lady walking in with her son or daughter, I mean, what would make them choose? They've heard about these karate schools. They see them everywhere. It always says, Olympic something, gold medalists, or some kind of real, thing to get you in. Why would they choose your place as opposed to that might be more advertised or more in their psyche from watching movies or
But
whatever?
honestly, Joe, there is a lot of this.
There
The
is.
difference for us is like we do have the systems down.
Yeah.
So we do have a standard operation and procedure for marketing. We do have a standard operational procedures for sales. We do have a standard operational procedures for class structure. And we do have a standard operational procedures for retention.
Okay,
You have to
wow.
retain these people. You got to make them understand the why. But in the end, the difference is, number one, we love it. It's easy to see, Joe. It's easy to see.
It's easy,
yeah.
It's the passion is easy. I'm really fortunate to love this, man. I love what I do. And I worked in a bank before. And I was a manager in a bank. And I would never be very good at being a manager in a bank because I was never passionate about this, man. I never really liked being a bank. Making good money and everything else was, I would never be happy, 100% happy.
You're doing what your destiny to.
Oh
to
yeah,
be.
I'm doing it what I really
And what-
choose it.
yeah.
And COVID, Joey, came for me very much like this. COVID was really hard because I had a lot of things and even a little bit of, property investments that everybody stopped paying.
Yeah.
Even the school, I was so, we're in the UCF, we're so invested in the school at UCF. Right, the guys went there a couple times. We had at one point 1,000 students.
Yeah, I want to talk
at
about
UCF.
that too. Your UCF program.
Way before that, in the COVID time, everything went away.
Yeah.
Absolutely everything went away. And I have to breathe in. I believe in God too. I'm a man of faith, so I believe in God, and I believe that there's something when you're under control. You got to bow to something powerful than you, and you just gotta. It is what it is. You trust, and you just gotta keep on moving. It's like a loss, and the high performers give you a lot of this because you can't just you cry your losses a couple hours and you move on, man. You just keep going, and you got your losses. You just come back in the next day. You show up and you show up on the next day. That's what you do. So what you in life, you want to be successful in anything, just show up on the next day. We knew it about this.
That's powerful.
That is powerful.
It is. You punch the clock. That's what you do, Joe. If something really bad happened to you, superior power, and move on. That's it. You see what you do. It's nothing else, man. Believe in something else and just keep moving. And I truly believe it. 100% I believe in this. But I'm very fortunate because I did something that I really, and COVID came as a golden ticket for everybody who's not happy about it. I can change now because COVID came in and
so you made it a positive.
Yeah.
I mean, really. I mean,
I love it, man. We were doing training. Remember, guys, in my garage. In my garage during COVID time.
That was an eye-opening experience for me.
I bet it was. So, tell us a little bit about the UCF program.
The UCF
How did you
program.
get it?
Oh, so this is what happened.
Because that seems like, I mean, it blew my mind when I said jiu-jitsu in college, and it's wow.
Yeah, it was so wonderful.
So how did it happen?
And it's something that I have a lot of passion for. So UCF. So when I got out of American Top Team, there was a couple of things that worked pretty well in American Top Team. What it was, the license model worked pretty well. The license model of having a brand and really license the brand out. But I started working in a couple of the standard operational procedures because you've got to give them something. You cannot just leave in the logo. You got to have help in being successful. How you make money, how you advertise, how do people come in and how you get information, you really make a sell, how to structure an intra-class or classes for age groups and for the criteria of how serious you are and how young you are and how deep into the martial arts you are. All this is a class structure. And after all this, you still have to retain everybody. Because after the excitement, you still have to make understand that they're part of a community. And from that, you've got to create events to bring everybody in. And there was a lot of science.
Right?
There's a lot of science with it, yeah. There's a lot of science about this, a lot. And I'm just studying a lot. I did study.
So it makes a lot of sense. I mean, it's in today's day and age, it's almost a necessity. I mean, you can be a phenomenal martial artist, and a lot of guys I know think, well, hey, that's all I need. To be phenomenal, when they see how good I am and what I can do, everybody's gonna come and want to train with me.
No,
that's not how it works.
No, that's not how it works.
You can be phenomenal, but what
it
you
is
just
not
saying,
how it works.
I'm hearing that you need an education in business.
Oh my
know how
gosh.
to, implement the stuff that you're talking about.
And I had, the first time that I sit down with a couple of mentors, I talk about it. So I have this world champion. I trained this guy. I got this guy trained with me. And the guy said, Liborio, that's nothing to do with the business part. You need systems. And when I start systems, what exactly is the systems? And when you start implementing the things, the ideas and the actions of doing it, and you have a really solid standard operational procedure that you can train someone. If I got out of here right now, like I'm teaching, the clutch is rolling.
And you have...
I don't need it to be there. I'm there because I love it. When I have my main guy teaching, I don't know exactly.
Hey, you know what he's teaching?
Duncan, Brian trained with those kids before they're were teenagers. This kid is really, the garage. I'm talking about 6 years. This kid's were 7 years. The kids are training with us. They know exactly everything, but we talk and we train and we have booklets about how to speak with people and how to introduce the sport and how the martial arts itself. So all this is trainable. Otherwise, you don't have. Also, there's another thing too. You think you have a business. A lot of guys open up gyms and think they have business. They don't. They do have a job. They buy themselves a job, a business. You're not successful until this thing can roll without you.
Actually,
so
make
Exactly.
the bills and pay the whatever.
It's not even success. I'm not talking about financial success. I'm talking about you gotta be oiled up in a way that the next generation is being trained. So it's educational. You train the people from the front desk. You train the people from the back ends. You train the people from teaching the classes. You train people from the marketing. You train everybody.
Man.
And everything is rolling down.
Yeah.
So we do have constant classes about this. So we don't need it to. Another thing too is never successful until you can replicate. Otherwise, you don't have success. You have a good enterprise. So I have a great enterprise here because I'm here.
Right, but till you
But if I got out of here and I open up a new school, this thing has to be successful.
Right.
And it has to be successful because the systems are bringing people in, and people are happy, and the schools are doing the same. And and then you have a successful business. And a successful business, you can sell it. If it's not successful, you don't have anything.
Right.
If it's just a logo, okay. If the logo gets out of there, what do you have it? Or if somebody who's very influential and to a point there, if you take this figure out of there, you don't have a business, you have an enterprise that works well because that person is there. So this has to be working without me.
That limits someone's success if it all revolves around how much they can do.
Correct.
And be at. Because it's like a guy that mows a lawn and he's all by himself. How many lawns can he mow in a day? That's his cap. But if he starts training a crew of people that do it correctly, then he's starting to open up a little bit.
And I feel like everything you're saying, it helps build that culture.
Yes,
And on a basic level, as a customer or a student going to a school, you can have the best competitors or world champions there, but if the culture's bad,
Correct.
someone walking in the door for the first time, they don't want to be there.
Correct.
They're going to go to the next place where they feel
can-
like
they can
they're
feel it.
treated right.
They
it's
can feel
professional.
it.
They can
They
feel the vibe,
feel
the
it.
energy.
Joe, they can feel it.
Oh, I agree.
People can feel it.
Yeah.
People can feel it when you care about them. People can feel it when your community is solid. People can feel it when you're fake, when you're not fake.
Sure.
For me, it's like I had a big advantage also because I grew in certain level. That I competed against some of the best in the world. I built up some of the best team in the world, so I have the format of the high level here, building up higher level. So I know there, but I'm happier right now teaching the 3-year-old kids.
So
and that's something that is for me. Man, this
beautiful, man. I'm telling you, watching you work is beautiful.
And I love it, man. This is one of the things about it. It's like, and it's hard because I do like it a
So
lot.
I want to play beginner here, like I don't know anything about jiu-jitsu or martial arts, and I want you guys to think of a nuts and bolts question to ask Professor Liborio. I have one, and it's just going back when you started training your first 5 years. What exactly did your training look like?
You see, for me,
Day to day. I mean, what?
let
did
me
you
just
do?
tell you how I end up doing it. Well, beginning is this. I started martial arts with 4 years old. I started doing judo with 4 years old. And I stopped judo when I was like 10 years old, something like this. And I always liked it. And I started surfing because in Brazil it was big time. Surfing is a big thing. So I started surfing, but I want to go back. I could never like too much of a team. I was so bad with soccer. I'm the only Brazilian guy who's soccer.
What?
Yes.
Come on.
I'm so bad with soccer, Joe.
I automatically
Can't
figured
believe
you were
it.
good at soccer.
Never.
Wrong. Okay.
I can't save my life. So I could never like too much of the team sport for some reason. I've always, even in the Olympics when I was a kid, I was always looking at judo or wrestling or boxing. For some reason I like that.
When it's all on make or break, it's on that one person.
I don't know why, but I always was driven towards that. And I tried to do taekwondo when I was younger. Before I did jiu-jitsu, I did taekwondo.
You did judo too.
I did, judo was a very young. But when I take a break from martial arts and I came back, I came with taekwondo first. But I could lift my leg off the floor, not even 2 inches. So from there I said, man, you can never be good at this thing. There's no way. With taekwondo.
They're known for some pretty good kicks. Yeah.
So I decided to do boxing, and I started doing boxing. It's just when I met jiu-jitsu. But jiu-jitsu, not in reality, when I met, was my first girlfriend. I had my first girlfriend. I was 15 years old, 16 years old.
Oh boy, there's gonna be folks. It's gonna be a good story now.
And
I'm all ears.
And her uncle was one of Carlson Gracie's black belt. His name is Rosado. He was the first red belt from Carlson.
Oh my God.
And Rosado was her uncle would say, man, I saw this stocky and short, stocky kid. I said, man, you look like you're going to be good at jiu-jitsu. You got to start training with us. So this was a Sunday. Monday, I went to Carlson Gracie. And I never stopped.
So basically,
Never.
the girl went by the wayside. But the
jiu-jitsu stayed
stuck.
there. Until today, I got the coral belt, right?
After
Congratulations, by
thank
the way.
you,
Yeah, very
thank you.
congratulations.
After 31 years at black
Wow.
belt, you go to Coral belt. But the guy who brought me to Jiu-Jitsu, Rosado, gave me my Coral
Oh
belt.
my God.
You know,
see
he's
that.
80 years old.
That
He's
is
80
amazing.
years old.
It's amazing.
Wow.
It's amazing, man. It's
Man,
something
what an
that I-
honor. You know,
Yeah.
that'd be amazing, man.
It's something that I'm very happy about it because it was such an honor to have him, start me up and give me, because when you go to Coral Belt, you're a master now. Before that, he's a black belt. You're a professor. Now you're a master on it. And you
I
go to Coral-
apologize then.
No,
I'm
don't
using
worry,
the
don't
wrong
worry about it.
terminology.
Just everybody, don't worry about it. I don't really care about it. But in reality, that's when you really actually, and there's very few Coral belts. There's a very few Coral belts that really start in the
I didn't know
beginning of
that.
everything.
I'm learning right
No,
now.
it's all good.
Because
And I'm the only one. I'm probably one of the only ones who are actually teaching in daily basis.
yeah.
The vast majority of Coral belts they have their own schools just for a while, and then probably going around, but they're not in daily basis teaching.
Well, they're getting older too. Yeah.
Getting older,
Yeah.
Wait,
but
there's less than 40 purple Coral belts.
Oh my God, really?
Yeah.
What would
but
you-
something like this. I don't know exactly how many,
It's not
but there's
many.
not many. There's not many in the world.
Ever.
Well, I know you got to get back to stuff, but I want to hear you guys' questions for Master.
One of the things that he was talking about that really implemented, especially there towards the end, where he talks about 31 years later to have the person that introduced him to jiu-jitsu
Wow,
to have
yeah.
that. That's so huge in the jiu-jitsu culture, because in wrestling you go through and then you can only get beat up so much in wrestling. It's a very, very high-paced sport. Jiu-jitsu, you can continue to do it and adapt. And there's something to be said about having the model that you have here, because you're taking these kids, and like he was talking about the kids that were rolling 6 or 7 years ago when COVID, 5 years ago when COVID was around, and now he's got them teaching them. You have to not only have a school model, but you have to have a business model, and you have to be able to put it all together, because at the end of the day, your goal is to not only be successful running a school, but you're also making an impact on these kids' lives. Huge lives.
100%.
And what happens is that just as he got his Coral belt from his
I know what you're gonna say.
person that brought him in, there's going to be a
Time, yeah.
There's going to be a time where these kids that are
When-
You're
teaching
so
now
right.
are going to
Yeah.
do the
Yeah.
same thing. It's a
Yeah.
generational thing. It continues
Beautiful.
to loop over. And that's the beautiful thing about jiu-jitsu. You don't see that in wrestling, and I come from a wrestling background, because when you get done with wrestling, if you're a high-level wrestler, you may go and teach at a Division I school, or you may go and teach wrestling at an MMA school for pro fighters and teach them that glitch of takedowns and glitches and holds. But at the end of the day, jiu-jitsu, and it is so special because you take someone at 4 years old
Yeah.
and they eventually get their black belt, and then you watch them progress. And they are going to do the same thing that you had done. That's such a beautiful story.
It's a
I think
beautiful cycle.
I think the most important thing about what we do is the build of a community. The
Yes.
community, which a
And
lot of
you
people.
do a lot for the community. I mean, you
Yeah.
do different things.
You see that for me, I was always community oriented. I'm I'm very family oriented, community oriented. I really am. This is something that's natural to me. So it's not about it's
That's how when you get old, man.
no, but Joe, when you
Keep it rolling.
You know what I think you're thinking about, because look at this. But for us, Eddie went there. Brad too. When you go to competition, it's about winning. Winning.
Now I know what I was gonna say. I remember.
When you go for self-defense, it's about surviving.
And what does somebody in a tournament? What do you consider winning? You're beating an opponent.
Yeah.
That's winning. But in a self-defense situation, winning could be just surviving.
Surviving.
Doesn't mean you beat the guy
No.
down and you're standing
No.
on top of him.
It is surviving.
Surviving and protecting.
Or
your
run
family.
away, or protect your family.
That's
You're right.
So running
Right.
can be winning
Yeah.
the fight if
Yeah.
it's the right thing to do.
And there's
in
so
the
much
situation.
more into this that
Yeah.
sometimes we don't teach here that we should have done
Oh,
a little bit more.
sure.
That's what there was a branch of jiu-jitsu. There was the self-defense part. That you were talking about, real self-defense.
That
But
works.
if the guy headbutt you, if the guy poke you in the eye, or get the knife,
Yeah.
all those things that we don't do it in a daily basis.
Well, your
that-
stuff is recognized. I mean, police organizations use your curriculum in that section that you're talking about for their pain compliance and their restraints, hold downs. and stuff that they're taught. So
Joe, it's changing now.
is it?
It is, because before, I don't know if it was political or not, but there was a lot of the curriculum from all the martial, Brian probably know, this is law enforcement, or in a certain way, you guys are so involved with that. There's a lot of politics involved, and when you're talking about instructors, especially in police academies, the guys are probably there for long years, and the curriculum they adapted, it was from traditional martial arts in a certain way.
It's set in that.
The difference right now is that everybody recognizes that a police officer, let me say law enforcement,
Whatever kind of law enforcement
whatever is enforcing the law nowadays, the chances are that you're going to put your hands on someone to put handcuffs is way higher than not just shooting but also punching someone. So jiu-jitsu comes into a place that that you're going to be learning how to band, not just control the guys on the ground, take the guys down, control them on the ground, and in a certain way, attach positions in a way that can be safe to put handcuffs on them. And it's not everybody is doing like this. There's a lot of law enforcement still that don't train, mainly because of the ego, Joe.
That's true.
That's a shame.
Oh,
That's a shame.
I think we talked about this last night.
Yeah.
I feel like, you see all these videos online, not just law enforcement officers, just people defending themselves. You see videos and you're like, man, 6 months of jiu-jitsu training, I feel like they would have been totally different.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Control,
Absolutely.
outcome, not
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
people wouldn't have got hurt. Something Eddie was saying yesterday, it's a little different, if you're trying pressure points or you're an expert kickboxer or whatever, and you're impacting people, you're going to hurt them. I know of people that have hit people and they have hit their head or whatever and died. So with jiu-jitsu, you can control the situation. Takes whatever you need to with the least amount of damage to the other person.
You
'Cause
got
we're not
those two
trying to hurt
guys. Let's
anybody,
say because it's not. I believe you probably encounter situations that you have to restrain people or push them away for some reason. It's not your job completely, but probably you arrive in the scene and it's still convulsing and people there, and you got you're there to help. People recognize you're there to help, but you still have to separate the angry mob or something like this. I believe it. But imagine 2 black belts like those guys here, how they could easier control somebody who doesn't know how to fight.
Yeah.
But just
Because
pin
of
them,
their
just pin them
experience.
on the ground.
And easily.
There's a lot of, but I think there is a movement right now, and the Graces that's with all the teaching on the new the police headquarters, and there's a lot of movement and changing the curriculum to get more jiu-jitsu adapted because it's less violent.
Yes.
We all know this.
Yes.
And it helps to have a curriculum, because I was telling you, Joe, yesterday, personally, I've talked to police officers and said, hey, if you ever want to come down to the, back when I did karate or judo, I do all jiu-jitsu now, if you ever want to come down and train, man, if we can help you on the job. Some of them had said to me, and maybe there's some officers out there that just know more about this, I just got to be careful what I learn at the school.
Correct.
Because if I do it in the field, it could say, hey, you were not trained to do this as an officer.
Correct.
So having a curriculum, that you're seeing curriculums come out by a couple
But Brian, let's be honest here. How many times do you believe that if you were a black belt, if the police officer was a black belt, they would restrain less use of the gun?
Absolutely.
Oh,
you know what I'm saying?
For sure.
What if the chances are that somebody comes towards you, even if they don't have a weapon, but it comes towards you and hey, stay away, I'm going to shoot it. But you were a black belt. In a certain way that you can defend yourself a little bit more than the average guy.
I feel 100%.
100%.
That's
How
100%.
many people got shot? Just stay away.
Yeah, because they used the gun to try to equalize the situation.
And they trained us, Joey.
And they're trained, like you said,
trained
there's
us.
no lower, less lethal thing. It goes, to the gun or the taser, but a lot of times to the firearm.
Yeah. Something to excuse me, Brian. Another thing is that when you train jiu-jitsu, and if you do it for any amount of time, you have a little bit of understanding of body language. you understand a little bit about what's going on, a lot more so than the officer just
Correct.
pulls his gun out.
Right.
Correct.
You understand body posture. You understand movement a little bit better than the officer that's never had the curriculum.
Correct.
And if you have, like Brian was saying earlier, if you have a curriculum, those officers, men or women, they are going to understand confrontation as a whole so much better.
Yeah.
So much better. It isn't going to be get out of the car and see and pull your gun out. It's sometimes you can de-escalate things by
So
just
much.
talking.
Oh, yeah.
So much.
You don't have to pull the gun out.
Patty, that's another thing too. You got to understand this. Sometimes you can de-escalate a lot of things because of your knowledge of what you can do.
Yes.
Because we all know that sometimes you have somebody in front of you that is a great talker, is a big bully, but those guys don't know much. Joey, they don't know much. Yeah, and I like to say this, but it's not always. I'm not going to say it 100%. It's correct, but the vast majority of the bad guys, they're not putting so much time of learning and training, and they're doing all this stuff there. It's not really just diminish their ability to do this, but they're good talkers. They're good bullies. They can get into your head. But if you know what you know, man, 1 year jiu-jitsu,
Yeah,
1 year jiu-jitsu, blue belt in jiu-jitsu years.
Not even 1 year, probably 1 month.
And to, obviously, we're big fans of jiu-jitsu.
Yeah,
but I
we're
say
a
this
little
lot,
biased here, as you can tell.
Yeah.
And this is the truth because we see it. We see it.
We see
even
it.
even in sport and
We
self-defense
see
jiu-jitsu,
it.
nobody comes into a jiu-jitsu school with no training and rolls up.
No,
Almost anybody,
impossible.
especially if it's a purple belt
It's
or
just
higher. It's
not
just
gonna
not gonna
happen.
happen.
Yeah.
You're not nobody. All but no bodybuilders.
Yeah.
And it's been proven time and time
Yeah.
again.
Or even guys, let's be honest, or even high level Division I wrestlers. They're coming in, they're going to do so well, but they require the knowledge of submissions. Otherwise, you're going to get locked in a foot lock there or an arm, but you're going to tap like a normal process. Of course, those guys have the physical ability and the mechanism, the mindset. All this is amazing. But there is no way, man. You got to learn things. There is submissions in jiu-jitsu. There is no submissions in wrestling. And you got to be aware of this.
Again, you're playing. If you're learning wrestling, you're playing by the rules of wrestling. And like some people feel like, well, I don't want to be on my back because in wrestling, that's not
true.
where you're supposed to be. But jiu-jitsu, okay, fine, I'm on my back.
And we've all seen that person come into a school who's super athletic, super strong, and he might get with a purple belt or a brown belt, and it's like, man, but the purple belt or brown belt, they will outlast. Before you know it, this guy is winded, and they've out-strategized him, and then they win.
Two things happen, Brian, after that. Number one, either you never see him again, or number two, it actually humbles them, and they have an open mind, and they're like, man, I want to learn this.
No,
And then they come back
I'll
and be a
tell you,
good
the
student.
wrestlers mentally, I'll tell you this, Joe. If for MMA, if you have to pick one sport, but even for the physical reasons, Joe, man, because they can do well standing up and they can do well on the ground. They don't get tired both. You got a very good striker. Bring them down. They're gonna be, two
It's a whole nother game.
feet of
Whole nother
thumbs
game.
out.
Yeah, whole nother game.
And put a jiu-jitsu guy in an MMA fight, he's standing up against a good striker. You gotta see this guy pulling guard and butt scoop into it. It's a reality. So you put a wrestler is the perfect mind to be the best athlete on it. And here we're learning everything. You're gonna, old school guys, you're gonna be always learning the takedowns and the ground and everything gets combined. I'm big in favor of this. Especially because the MMA training, like it did, I had to learn a lot. And you see the qualities. Only if you're really egoistic, you can't see the qualities of wrestling over jiu-jitsu.
You're letting your mind cloud what you're actually able
Correct.
to see.
So, Joey, like you said, so wrestlers are strong-minded for this.
Makes sense, though.
A lot.
Like a
a lot.
pit bull.
Told you that
They
yesterday.
can take
You
it.
did.
They
Yeah.
can take it.
Yeah.
They can take it in. And if you don't take it, probably not a really high-level wrestler.
So
Because a high-level wrestler has this thing, man. They're gonna get beat up, and doesn't matter what, you come back the next day.
Man.
But the difference is, the high performance in jiu-jitsu or MMA are the same. And the moment that you go to high performance, Joey, you understand is about learning in punch the clock. You'll understand
Back to that
it. That's
discipline.
it. It doesn't matter how you feel, man. You go back there.
Right back to it. Yeah.
You go back there, and
That's
you had a
discipline.
bad day. Okay, go home, strategize, do this and that, but you come back. And you have a date probably for the performance. You have dates for the performance. And you have to
talking about making your realistic goals and
yeah.
yeah.
And
To
once
see
you have a
progress.
date,
Yeah.
once you have a date, you
Yeah.
understand that the journey is for the date.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter how bad you did it here, because when you go for the date here right now, you got your MMA fights, you
And
got
if
your
you
world
accomplish
championships.
what you plan to accomplish, even if you don't win the fight,
Yeah.
but you accomplished the training and everything you need to accomplish to get there, man, that's a win right there. I mean, that's big.
But for
And
those guys,
one person's
it's
gonna
this.
lose, one person's gonna win in a fight.
But there's one thing, Joe. For those guys, is high performance is whatever it takes for you to win. You have to have the desire to win with the understanding of the journey. You have to understand that you will lose. You will have a bad day. You'll be sick. You'll be sad. One of these days, you're going to get your butt kicked, and you just suck it up.
You were saying about UCF and how you got UCF, got into UCF, and what kind of how
You're right about that. So
kind of
how I
felt.
got into UCF is like this. I knew it when I got out of American Top Team that the license was the best model to make money
Okay.
into that. We got up, and you have to create something. So that I wanted to find the best people, more excited people to work with, and affordable too. So I thought of university. I lived 15 minutes from UCF.
Yeah.
So this was curious because initially I made a research and tried to find out who was connected to martial arts in university. And I ended up with one of the professors, with Dr. Fukuda. Fukuda is a doctor who is a black belt in judo, but also is a purple belt in jiu-jitsu, and he loves it, martial arts.
You guys connected right away. I'm
Right
sure.
away.
Yeah.
And you want to find out about this? I went to the Facebook, and I see in Facebook who I had a friend. I had a one common friend. I had a one common friend. So I hit out to this friend, George. I said, George, can you introduce me to Fukuda?
Yeah.
And George introduced me to Fukuda the same day.
Oh my God.
We went have lunch the next day.
Really?
And I told him
Wow.
about this. Well, I think it's interesting. What are you thinking about a class of jiu-jitsu, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu? And he loved it. And he said, let's do it. And this guy really gave it. He was a gamble because he had to attract interest from the dean and
From
it just
people that
makes
have
sense.
no
Yeah.
martial arts knowledge.
Yeah, no knowledge.
Why
of
do we
anything.
want this
And
here?
why this guy?
Yeah.
So I have to present it for me because I don't have a master's degree, so I have to present everything that I had in my academic life, and I got into the university as extraordinary ability because I won the world championships and things that I accomplished, and so I have to present to the university. It was a process. It took a while, but it was a process. It was amazing, And
They-
when
they
we
came
built
around,
up,
though. They came around.
Joe. And when we started with one class, one day a week, with 30 people or something like this. And after that, in the end, I passed to Armand, which you remember Armand. Armand is my boy. Armand is actually teaching at UCF right now. We have 6 classes with a full schedule of classes there.
That is
And there was
amazing.
more. In one point, we have more than 1,000 people in the club.
That's amazing.
Wow.
Yeah, and the 6 classes with 50 people right now.
Yeah.
So it's 300 people every semester is doing jiu-jitsu.
That's
Are there any other clubs that big at the college?
mind-boggling.
No,
That's a big club.
we got the best club in 2024,
Okay.
and there is not. Oh, there is one club there as big is the E Club. Playing video games. So that's it. Yeah.
So what you do, jiu-jitsu and play the video game
Yeah.
at the same time? Like,
Well, a lot of
okay,
those guys probably do both of them.
probably could do it.
Yeah.
So, is there any question or anything that we haven't talked about that you'd like to talk about?
No, Ryan's supposed to ask a question.
You were right, Brian.
Oh,
You never
yeah,
got your question. It better be good.
I guess I would just ask, I'm sure from the start of your martial arts career, 4 years old doing judo and getting into being an adult, to today, there's got to be, a handful of highlights that you could think of, and how have you changed from when you were 20 years old to today, just the mindset?
That's a good question.
Yeah, there's so much. Well, I was raised inside this competition team, right? So I lived that life of being an athlete and going after the dream as being a world champion. That was the dream. I wanted to be a black belt world champion, be the best in the world one time, and I accomplished that at one point. Taught me a lot because even being the best guy in the world, I got voted. It was the first world championship, so I got voted the most technical black belt in the world.
That's
So this
awesome.
was a big standout for the thing.
Yeah.
but that doesn't mean everything. For me, it was like seeing that. For me, I have to find a reason to be around my community. You know, being around the mats, and you can't be training anymore. I'm almost 60 years old, all beat up. I have so many injuries from previous stupidity
That's
of
a
training.
question I didn't want to ask it, but I was curious.
Oh, I have so many injuries. I got so many stupid things I have done, and for lack of experience or wear and tear, 100%.
Yes.
So for me right now, this is therapy. For me right now, this is 100% mental health therapy and doing what I love to do, man. I choose to do in my life. You know, this is, of course, it have to be something successful, because my competitor side is in to be the most successful in the world in anything that I try to do it. It's something that I really pursue. They can't go without saying this. So I'm going to try to make the money. I'm going to try to be the best school around. I'm not into competition anymore, because I had lost so much time with family. Because in one time, guys, you know this. You guys know this, right? For me, it was every Wednesday I'm traveling with a fighter. We had 130 fighters in UFC. So every Wednesday I'm traveling with a fighter. Thursday we cutting weight. Friday we weigh in. Saturday is the fight, and Sunday I'm coming back home. How many weekends do you think I've lost without my family with us? And at one point was so much that I have to accommodate my family first. And I say, no, I can't do the competition anymore. I have to concentrate here in life skills and social skills and character education in the gym in our community. But I got to be here. I can't travel like this anymore. It costs me a lot, but in terms of family, many birthdays and. Oh, guys, I can't even tell you how many times I live and I travel the world. I've seen a lot, Joe. I've been in 57 countries.
Wow.
57 countries. Wow. I've been everywhere.
That's awesome, though.
But
it's at a cost.
You know, at a cost, and there's no replacement of time.
Yeah.
So for me, a lot of things change it. Number one is, if I can tell you that I am so much happier now than I was at that time.
I personally think, God got you there.
Oh,
like for all of us.
God, yeah.
I mean, I have a few things in my life that happened, but if they had, not happened, I wouldn't be
100%.
right here. I wouldn't be the person, or I might not even be here at all.
100%.
So, I mean, I used to think they were bad, but now I realize that was
God.
That was God making
it is the blessing.
Yeah.
It is God. It's like that fact that you said that sometimes I called it slipping in. You were slipping in some sort of thoughts. You lost a match, right? You slip in the next day, and you can reason a lot. It's almost like God is talking to us, man. It's like sometimes you're so angry about something, and you sleep, and you come back analyzing things in a different way, and you start really. Man, there's got to be something else. There's got to be something stronger than us.
But I mean, it's okay to cry. If you lose a match and you feel like crying, hey, emotions, do it.
Yeah, do it.
Nobody's gonna.
You don't need to like it at all.
No,
if you like it is not, especially in high performance. It's not about liking it. It's understanding the process.
Yeah. So you do that. You go through. Okay, I cried for 10 minutes. Now let me wash my face. Let me think about it. Okay, let's look at the tape. What did I do wrong? And then you start.
Joe,
so you go through all the whole cycle.
If I tell you some of the names that I have seen it crying on a match, all those world champions that you have seen it crying, including me, getting out of the match crying and thinking, man, I had a terrible day. I'm going to get smashed in the tournament. Or
it's emotional. Man.
It's
when
emotional.
You fight somebody
You're
else,
so.
You both give it your all. Man, you guys become best friends at the end most of the time. I mean, it's like you bonded in a fight. I don't know. Do you feel?
Joe, it's so emotional.
Yeah.
It's so emotional that the coach itself, when you go there, they're not cornering you. You're just really giving your best to accommodate those guys, little demons. You're dealing with all the ghosts. You're dealing with everything.
And they all pop
and it's
up,
all
don't
good.
they?
Oh, I call the inner bee. The inner bully or the inner bitch. You can't. The inner bitch comes to every one of us. They're listening to it. They're talking. The difference is when you learn that voice comes, doesn't matter what. It doesn't come. But you know that you're going to do what you're going to do, doesn't matter what. That's the power of discipline. It does not dominate you anymore. And at one point, because it will come to anyone, all of us.
Yeah.
You're going to compete, you will come. Oh, you're going to lose fast. Oh, you're going to do this. You're going to embarrass yourself.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Oh, God, yeah.
That inner bitch is going to be there. You just don't listen anymore. Before you make this big, enormous,
So we're
gigantic
fighting a fight
demon.
against ourselves.
Well, you don't
Before we
fight
get
it.
in the ring.
You just don't fight it anymore. You just know that it's going to be
Right.
there. It's coming to every and single one of us. You just don't listen anymore, and you just do what the disciplines tell you to do, and that's the success for anything.
Thank you for that.
That's the
a
success
powerful
for anything.
man. Wow. Have
That's
we
true.
not had some fun? My God.
What's the name of your school here now?
Hey, good, Brian. See, Brian knows the important stuff to
Here?
ask.
Gotta add that, yeah.
Yeah.
Martial
Name of your
Arts
school
Nation
and you're moving.
of Lake
You've
Nona.
got a
Oh
new-
no, it
a
is.
new location.
It is Martial Arts Nation of Lake Nona.
Okay.
Yeah, Martial Arts Nation of our brand.
And is there a website people can check
Martial
out?
Arts Nation of Lake Nona.
Okay. All right. And also, you're going to see down below all the links to everything that you need to know about what we've been talking about.
That's it. Thank you.
And thank you so much.
Thank you,
for
those
man,
guys.
You're awesome. And
Those
thank
guys,
you to this
man.
guy.
Those guys are my brothers here.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Those
for
guys are
letting us
here.
do
When you talk about those guys,
blast.
they're
Thank you.
calling us, man. This is your house.
Man,
You're
thank
here.
you. Thank
You're
you.
All right,
more than
guys.
welcome.
We'll
Thank
see you
you,
next
guys.
time.
Thank you.